the male lead and the main character kiss. There's actually a picture of it. And, like, the main character did not know it was the male lead. The male lead took a kiss of him, and then afterwards, when the main character hunted down the male lead, he didn't know it was the male lead. He starts teasing the male lead. He was already teasing the male lead before the competition. Like, he threw flowers at the male lead, and now he's teasing the male lead, being like, I have experience, unlike you. You haven't kissed anyone before, but I have. And he wants to hunt down who this woman who kissed him was. And I'm like, I mean, it was the male lead. The male lead was the one who kissed him. So when the main character was arguing with that Jin clan member, I couldn't help but think of the scene where the main character was getting onto his nephew for using those knights during a night hunt. Because this guy is getting onto the main character for playing unfair because the main character was using his demonic arts to lure the, creatures to him to defeat them, and he got rid of most of them. And he's like, that's not fair. You should allow others to be able to compete. Let others be able to capture those creatures. And the main character's like, where? And the same with his sister. His sister backs him up, is like, where is that a rule? He can do what he wants. And I'm like, and years later, the main character will put a foot in his mouth and do the same thing this guy did and homage his own nephew for pulling trickery ways to win a night hunt. Like, he did the same thing his nephew is. His nephew is just following his footsteps. The main character's brother-in-law is such a tsundere. Like, this dude is so ridiculous. Like, during the competition, he was trying to have conversations with the main character's sister, and it was not going well for him. And so he's like, I didn't want you to be here. It was my mother, which, dampens her mood more. And she's like, okay, I'll leave. And he tries to stop her, which the main character stops him from stopping her. And I'm like, oh my god, this dude is such a tsundere. And after everything was settled, he goes, it wasn't my mom who wanted you here. It was me. I wanted you here. I wanted to have time with you during the competition. I didn't, this dude is such a tsundere. And then he runs away out of embarrassment. And I'm like, this man is a hoot. Even when when I was reading the scene where he thought someone else was making the soup because that person convinced him it was her, and the fact that he did not know it was his ex-fiance, and when he caught his ex-fiance bringing in the food and she admitted to being the person, he didn't believe her because, again, someone had already admitted it, and he got so upset with her over it, accusing her using her position and her status to put someone else's credit as her own, which, honestly, if that had been true, he would have been all right in his right place if his side of the story had been correct, but he didn't know the full story, and then he ended up getting in huge trouble for it because he didn't know the full story. Because she had to outright admit that she had been the person at the get-go. It was such a mess, and I was like, oh, this is such a mess. The male lead again tries convincing the main character to come with him to his clan so he can cleanse the main character and save the main character from the path he's going down, because he knows the path the main character is on, his mental health is falling apart. He has evidence of this from the, fight that happened during the competition. He's trying to convince the main character coming with him, and the main character is not pleased. He gets very upset and very angry and even throws the male lead out over it. He's like, I'm not going with you. And, his girls wanted to sick themselves on the male lead, even though the male lead was doing everything he could for the main character's health, and the main character just won't listen to him. I'm like, honey, listen to your hubby. He's only doing what he's doing because he loves you and he cares for you. Please listen to him. Please. Some of you might get angry with me, but I have this question. Why did the main character's adopted father took him in? He knew that his wife did not like the main character's biological mother. So she probably would not like him being the child of the woman she despised, the woman who he was in love with. He brought that child in. Did he not think that was going to be a good situation, that she was going to care for this child the same way she cares for her children, even though she's already kind of a bitch to her own kids? Did he think she was going to treat another child better than she treats her own kids? It is insane to me that he brought this kid in. I get it if he wanted to bring this kid in as his disciple, but he could have also sent this kid to a different clan, like the Land clan, or the Hitchhiker's clan, or the Jin clan. He could have sent the main character to one of those clans. Or again, if he wanted to, take this kid in because this kid was his ex-crush's kid and his right-hand man's kid, I get that. But, he knew he was bringing this kid into a wrong situation. He could have handed this kid to one of his other disciples to raise. But instead, he brings this kid in and tells his own son to get rid of his pets because his new adopted son is terrified of dogs. And I'm like, how is that fair? You're going to throw this new kid who everyone rumors to believe this child is your affair child into a house. Like, this is not fair to this kid. This is not fair to your kids. This is not fair to his wife. Like, he brings this kid in without having a conversation with his wife. Like, this woman has all rights to be angry at him. Not angry at the main character, but angry at him for bringing a kid without having a conversation over with her. Like, this is terrible. And then turn around and tell his own son that he doesn't really show any real care to get rid of his pets to please this child. Like, he decides to pick this child over his kid. Understandable, this kid is terrified of dogs, but like, this moment he realized this kid was terrible dogs, he shouldn't have kept this kid in the house. Instead of telling his kid to get rid of the dogs, he should have found a new home for the kid, maybe found a new sack for this kid, because that's not fair to his own child. It also will later have this child hold resentment towards the kid he brings in. Like, that's not fair to the kid he brings in, because this kid is going to despise him. And then again, another insane part is he makes his own biological son share a room with his adopted brother. Instead of giving this new kid his own personal room, a new place to stay for himself, he instead tells his son, who already told get rid of his dogs, to give up his room, to share his room with a kid he barely knows, a kid he knows is the reason why he lost his pets. And then in front of his son, after his son begrudgingly agrees, because his son is pleased to actually have a little brother, he is upset over his dogs, but he is pleased to have a brother. Then it shows affection and care he barely shows his actual son in front of him. Like, are you planning to have resentment and hatred towards your adopted son by your biological son? You are creating the jealousy yourself. Like, it angers me. Like, it angers me. Like, he expects his son, and then his wife, no surprise, is upset because she's seen this man show more care and love to his ex-crush's child, his ex-right-hand man's child, more than he has shown their actual bio kid. Like, she is furious. And no surprise, after seeing this, the dude doesn't want to share his room with his brother. He throws his brother out, and later he regrets it. But he also kind of regrets it because he knows his father will be furious with him if he found out. Like, why would he put the main character through this? Why would he bring him into a situation he knows will be an unfair situation to his bio kids, his wife, and to his adopted kid? Like, this man, I despise this man more than I despise the main character's adopted mom. Because she shows the same amount of resentment and hatred towards all the kids. Like, she shows care for her chill bio kids, but she also is bitchy to all three of them. A little more bitchy to the main character, but she's bitchy to all three of them. And he obviously shows favoritism while also not showing favoritism to the main character. Like, it's frustrating.